The 1440p 144Hz monitor market is pretty massive with some really amazing options, from the crazy cheap to the ludicrously expensive, and from TN to VA to IPS. There really is a lot to choose from. And that choice list just got even bigger with this, the Viewsonic XG270QG, which is another 144Hz 1440p IPS monitor that has some pretty impressive characteristics, and depending on its price could make for a massive hit. Let's take a look at it. Now, starting off with the panel itself, like I said, it's 1440p, 144Hz or 165Hz if you overclock it, and has G-Sync as well as being an IPS panel too. Now, being 1440p, really for me anyway, is the sweet spot, especially at 27 inches, which is what this model is. 4 pixels per inch, it's really incredibly crisp to look at, both for content consumption and for playing games on too. Of course, being IPS, you have some incredible viewing angles, as you would expect, especially those side-to-sides do a very good job there, and in terms of color accuracy, this thing is, again, pretty impressive. It's a 10-bit panel, and Viewsonic claim that it can do around 98% of the DCI-P3 spectrum. In my testing with my Spider 5, I was seeing around about 90, although when you factor in margin of error, it's pretty close. It was also over 125% of the sRGB spectrum, which is very nice to see. I should also mention that the brightness I measured here was around 400 nits, which is perfectly fine for normal usage, but if you did want to enable HDR, you'd only be getting the sort of bare minimum experience there, so just keep that in mind. As for gaming on it, as you would expect, this is an incredible experience. It's really crisp, but also incredibly smooth, and especially with the high refresh rates, you just get a really nice experience, even for fast-paced shooters like CSGO or say the new COD, for example. Now, in terms of the panel's response time, I was looking at around, the black to white response time anyway, was around 4 milliseconds, which is actually not bad for an IPS panel. That was with its overdrive set to its fastest setting. Now, I would mention that the white to black response time was actually pretty slow at around 12 milliseconds, which did lead to a little bit of ghosting in some areas, but wasn't noticeable when actually playing games. I would also mention the input lag is also pretty low. It was around 30 milliseconds for the total system, i.e. from a mouse click to a gun firing in game, and that's actually pretty low in terms of what I've tested so far. It's not the lowest, but it's certainly not bad. So we've covered the panel, now let's cover, well, everything else, starting with these blinders. Now, these are removable. There's 2 screws on either side captive to the blinders themselves, and it's pretty easy to take them on and off, but if you do want to leave them on, they do a pretty good job of blocking out any side lights, or if you're at a LAN, for example, to block out your opponent's vision just a little bit, but yeah, I think I would take them off personally. And then there's the stand, which is incredibly bulky and pretty massive, takes up a large footprint on your desk, phone for scale here, and well, it does have a handle on the top for a little bit of easier carting this monitor around. Overall, this is an incredibly heavy monitor in the grand scheme of things, and so do keep that in mind if you do want to move it around. The stand does have all of the adjustability you would expect, including tilt, a good amount of height adjust, a little bit of swivel, and full rotation if you want to put it in portrait mode, and you do also have a cable management hole on the back to keep everything nice and tidy. If you prefer not to use the stand, you can always use a VESA mount instead, as that's just hidden under the stand itself. And around the VESA mount, speaking of it being a 2019-2020 product, it has RGB. It only has RGB around that mount, but it also has some desk firing lights too, which they can be turned off in the menu, don't worry, that's possible, but they are there if you prefer. When it comes to the I/O, it actually has a cover over the back to keep things nice and tidy, but if you remove that, you'll find one DisplayPort and HDMI, as well as a USB 3 hub, DC in, and a headphone jack, and you do actually have mouse bungees built into the bottom of the monitor, which is kind of strange to see. Now, they don't work all that well, as I found that the mouse cable tends to either slip out of it or slip through it pretty well, but otherwise it's kind of interesting to see. And of course, you have a headphone hanger too. So is this monitor any better than the existing competition? I'm thinking Gigabyte 8027QD and ASUS's PG279Q. Well, it will all depend on pricing. See, this is a brand new monitor and pricing is still kind of up in the air, but if, as early signs suggest, it's up near the sort of £700 mark, then it's gonna be a bit of a hard one to sell. if you are dead set on buying something like an Asus XG270QG, then this could be a good option for you as an alternative, as it is a much newer panel, a bit faster, better colors and all that sort of stuff. But if you didn't want to spend the near £700 that costs, then the Aorus model is still pretty much a no-brainer. For the near £200 price difference there, you can go and buy a second 140Hz to 1440p monitor, and so honestly, I would, if it was my money, I'd go with the Aorus there and save myself a bit of money. Also, if you have an AMD GPU, this has FreeSync, so you might be better off with the Aorus model there as well. If it does happen to be closer to the £500 price point, then this might be a bit more in contention with the Aorus model, as this is ever so slightly faster in response time and input lag, and so you might have a ever so slightly better experience on this, again assuming you don't have an AMD GPU, but it will depend on that pricing. And speaking of pricing, I'm going to leave a link to this in the description down below. That's an Amazon affiliate link that will take you to your local Amazon store, where hopefully anyway you'll be able to see pricing when and where you watch this. Of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think of Viewsonic's new entry into the 140Hz 1440p IPS market? Let me know in those comments down below. If you want to see more videos like this one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, do hit that subscribe button with the bell notification icon. You can also check out the rest of the links in the description from Amazon and Overclockers UK affiliate links that don't cost you anything to use, but massively help me out when you use them. Or there's a load of other stuff like Streamlabs OBS if you want to start streaming, and also merch for hoodies or t-shirts like this one too. Otherwise, there's plenty of videos over there for you to check out, and like I said, if you want to support the channel, do check those links, and make sure if you want to check out the monitor, check out that top link in the description too. Otherwise, that is pretty much it. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments down below, and we'll see you all in the next video.